My name is Bismarck Lepe. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Wizeline. I think I've always had businesses. Growing up, I would sell things on the schoolyard, but I got to the Silicon Valley in 1998 to go to Stanford University, and I was going to be a doctor, but 1998 was the beginning of the bubble. And so I just fell prey to the capitalistic machine that is the Silicon Valley. And instead of going to class, I started working at many different startups. I still graduated, but really I graduated from startups. And so when we started Uyala, which was my first entrepreneurial venture, the first 35 days, we slept, we ate, we showered at the office. And we were working 20-hour days and 7 days a week. And we continued doing that for 4 or 5 years. Eventually, we started taking Sunday off. But through Saturday, we would still be working 10, 15, 20 hours. Now, with this new venture, Wizeline, I have 2 kids, I'm married, I have a third on the way, and it's hard. And I sometimes feel guilty, not that I don't spend enough time with them, but that I don't spend enough time with my company, because my family are 3 people, and they get to benefit disproportionately if Wizeline goes well. Here we have 500 people that believe in me, believe in the executive team, believe in the vision, and they have families. And so the overall impact is thousands of people are depending on this company doing well. I would say that it's less about mentors and it's more about the power of your network. Because sometimes it's not really a theoretical issue that you're trying to solve. Sometimes it's very tactical, right? I need to get to this person so they will buy my product. And so, my first investor, Fred Warren, he was obviously a very wealthy individual, and he owned several Bloomberg terminals. And so when we were trying to sign Bloomberg as a customer, he had the ability to call the CEO of Bloomberg, invite him to his house in Newport, and say, you need to get someone within your organization to look at this. Some fuzzier issues. I had the privilege of working with people like Sheryl Sandberg and Gokul Rajaram, who's now number 2 at Square. And when we were scaling the Uyala operations, I sent Sheryl Sandberg, who's the CEO of Facebook, an email and asked her to meet and just talk through some of the cultural issues that she faced when she scaled the operations at Google. So when Sheryl Sandberg started at Google, she had 1 person that she hired and then grew that team over, through her period at Google to over 30,000 people. And so she saw the growing pains of growing from a couple of people to dozens of people to hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people. And so it was really nice to bounce ideas off of and for her to provide her perspective on the challenges that we were facing, because we were obviously not growing as quickly as a Google, and we weren't able to do things like Google was able to do in solving problems. The reality is that once you're dealing with a fund, they are investors, and it's important that the entrepreneur not forget that. It's important that the entrepreneur, that the CEO, the executives be honest with the investors, but I think that the personal challenges that could detract from the business actually create potential risk in the business. And so more often than not, I think it's important that mentors be unbiased and not have a stake in the business. And that's why I say that Fred Warren was someone that I learned from, But was he the ideal mentor? No, because he had a vested interest in the business. And it would be impossible for him to be able to detach what I'm experiencing at home from, no, you need to get on the plane and go sell. I think at this point, I actually like it when things are a little difficult. Like I now, some people jump off planes, I start companies, right? Like there have been times wherein like you're a couple of hours from when you need to make payroll and you're like, all right, where am I going to get the cash from to make sure that you make payroll? And you have to figure it out. So the two main things I would say that if I could have a conversation with Bismarck Lepe back in 2008, the first one is ask for help and seek out advice whenever you have challenges or concerns. I felt that since investors had given me money and I was the CEO, I had to have all the answers, which is absurd. That's actually not the role of the CEO or the founder. The role is to be successful, make the business successful. And if there are gaps, you need to go figure out how you close those gaps, either by asking for help or hiring people with the right kind of experience. And so that was the first one. The other is because we had investors and I'm like, oh my God, they gave us money and their experience, I need to listen to everything they say. And the reality is, it's not just about working with the board or doing what the board wants, it's also managing the board. Because most board members come to a board meeting every 6 weeks, every 3 months, and they have a small slice of what's going on in your business. As the CEO, as the operators, you have a better understanding. And so I wish I would have pushed back a lot more early on in my experience as a CEO, dealing with investors and dealing with my board. Being an entrepreneur is very humbling because you feel like you're always asking for something. You're asking for someone to join your company. You're asking for investors. You're asking for a customer to take a leap of faith on your product evolving to solve their problems. And I think it's all about painting that big vision. And I think it's also painting a vision beyond, what the business is going to be, but the impact the company could have. So my dad has a 6th grade education, and his father died when he was 14. He's the eldest of 8 kids, and when they were putting his father in the ground, his mother was crying, was inconsolable, didn't know what would become of the family. Would all of his siblings, would he go to an orphanage? And he tells a story that he went up to his mother and he said, I will figure it out. And this is someone who was 14, 6th grade education, and he came to the States, started working as a migrant field worker, sent all of the money back when he was 14, right? Sent all of the money back to Mexico. And he was able to put 6 of his siblings through college. They've all done very well. Many of them are in the US and have lived the American dream. When he got married, he basically left everything he had made, and my parents started from scratch again, and we lived out of our car. And in the end, I feel like that has shaped me because I feel like I've seen poverty. I look at my dad, and my dad, even though he had built things up over the course of 15 years, he was perfectly fine leaving it and starting again with my mom and then myself and my brother. And so I kind of look at it as long as you're above ground and you're still kicking, you still have life in you, there's still a chance of succeeding. And what's the worst that can happen? As long as you have your health, there's still an opportunity to continue to move forward. And I think having seen extreme poverty makes it so I'm just not afraid of that. And because that's the absolute failure that you could hit. And I'm just not afraid of that.